So, the first step is in a medium mixing bowl together, put the flour, baking soda, and salt. So, we have to measure out one thing at a time. So, I'm going to first measure out the flour. So, make sure you've got the right thing, flour. Make sure you're reading the labels on them. So, the flour, we look at the ingredients list and it says, flour, you need half a cup and 2 tablespoons. So, I have to find my half cup dry measuring cups, okay, dry, and I'm going to take it, I'm going to dip it in, okay, and I'm going to level it off. So, see how I have a ton of extra on top? That's not accurate. I have to level it off into the container so we don't waste anything. So, that's a half a cup. I say it out loud. Okay, half a cup, and then we need 2 tablespoons of flour. So, I'm going to put this down, grab my tablespoon measuring spoon, which is over here. Okay, and I do this 2 times. Same thing, dip it in, level it off, put it in the bowl. Dip it in, level it off, put it in the bowl. Okay, so that's 2. Now I'm going to move on to my baking soda. So my baking soda, okay, again, the container, you want to make sure you have the right container. Baking soda is different than baking powder, so make sure you have the right thing. And you need how much baking soda? We look at the ingredients list again on our recipe, and that's what I have over here, the recipe. I'm going to look at the recipe, and I'm going to say, okay, we need baking soda, 1/4 of a teaspoon. Very important to pay attention. 1/4 of a teaspoon. It says it right on it. It's super tiny. I dip it in. Same thing. I level it off, so I make sure I have the exact right amount, and I put it in. Okay, and the last thing is the salt. I need, how much salt? 1/4 of a teaspoon. So since that was a dry ingredient, this is clean. I can now just take the same tool that I was just using and put it into the salt container. Okay, salt. Now, if the container is kind of like empty, you can turn it on its side to make sure that you get the right amount. You want it to be like a bunch on top. So see how this has like a lump on top? Now I'm going to push the rest off so it's nice and perfectly even. All right, now it says in your instructions, you're going to set this bowl aside. Okay, this is where everybody makes mistakes. They accidentally use this bowl for the rest, and you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to set this aside like it says. So I'm going to put that over there for now. Okay, in a different bowl, I'm going to a separate medium bowl, which is what I have. I'm going to put the brown sugar and the white sugar in here. Okay, so we look at the ingredients. How much brown sugar do we need? 3 tablespoons. So I grab my tablespoon measuring spoon, which is over there. I'm going to get a bunch. Okay, dip it in all the way in. Okay, level it off. Just like I did before. You might have to push it this way and then push it that way. Okay, that's fine. So 1, I do another one. It's kind of like sand. It kind of molds to the measuring spoon. It's kind of fun. It smells really good. Okay, you push it in. Make sure you have the right amount. Go across, take all the extras off, and that was 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, if you look at the recipe, it says you need white sugar as well. So, how much white sugar? The exact same amount, 3 tablespoons. You take the white sugar, regular sugar, dip it in. Yours will be softer than this. Mine's been sitting for a little while, so it's kind of hard. Needs to be broken up. 1, put it in. 2, put it in, and 3, put it in. Okay, so it says with an electric mixer, you're going to mix together the 2 sugars, the brown sugar and the white sugar. So whenever I'm messing with my prongs, I don't want to touch them if it's in the electric. So it's plugged in. I don't want to touch them because if I accidentally turn this on, I'm going to get my finger stuck in there. So we always make sure that we're not touching the prongs if the electric's plugged in. If you have to push or pull the prongs in or out, you can unplug it first. Okay, so I'm just going to mix it up. Okay, and now it's pretty much mixed. So from there it says you are going to add the butter to the sugar mixture and mix together. So I need to get my butter. Now, I left my butter out on the table to soften up a little bit, so that's how you can see it's kind of like mushed. I was squeezing it to get the heat of my hand will help warm it up. You don't want to melt it, so you don't want to put it in the microwave to melt it. The cookies will become flat, so I just left it out for a little while. Okay, I put it in. Now, I had already cut the stick in half. You need 1/4 of a cup, so that's in there. And it says to mix it together. That's my oven preheating. It's finished preheating. I did that before I started the video. I also put my hair up, and I put an apron on before I started the video, but I forgot to mention it. Okay, so I am going to do my best to show you what this looks like. So it's not really like, it's still chunks of butter. The next thing we have to add is the egg. So it says add egg and vanilla to this same mixture. So when I add the egg, that's when it's going to start to combine. Eggs are a combining ingredient. And then we're going to combine that with the vanilla extract. So the vanilla extract, looking back at the ingredients, it says you need how much vanilla extract? And you should be looking along with me while I do this. You need 1/2 teaspoon. Okay? Now, I've had people put all different things. 1/2 cup, 1/2 tablespoon. 1/2 teaspoon is super small. Okay? It's only this much. If you overdo this, you're going to notice it's going to be super strong. It doesn't taste good if you do that much. It is just way, way, way too strong. So I don't want to pour this over my bowl here because what will happen is if I over pour, it'll go into this bowl. And then that will ruin our mixture. So instead, I would pour it over a custard cup. Okay? And once I pour it over the custard cup, if extra goes in here, I can just put it back into my container because this is kind of expensive. So I can do that, but you don't want to ever pour over the bowl, okay? That's like the egg. Did you notice I cracked the egg in the custard cup? Because there could be a bad egg. It could have, it sometimes could be like a bloody egg, or the egg shells get in it. If you do it in a custard cup, you make sure it's a good egg before you add it to your mixture so that you don't ruin your whole thing. All right, so 1/2 teaspoon you're going to measure. Now, I'm going to spill over on purpose. See how the extra got caught in here? Okay, it levels itself. Liquids level themselves in the tablespoons and teaspoons, so that's great. I'm going to transfer it over carefully, okay? I would never try to walk across the room with this. I'm going to spill it everywhere. You always want to have it right near your bowl. So you would... That was what we needed. I'll add this later back to the container. And we're done. So now we're going to mix this up with the electric mixer again. This has the sugars, the butter, the egg, and the vanilla. Now it's becoming like a paste. Alright, so you could do that for a little longer than I'm going to do it in the video, but it's much more pasty now than it was before. Now we're looking good. So we finished that step, adding the egg and vanilla. Slowly add in a little flour at a time to the dough mixture. So this bowl that we had done the flour in before, this is getting added to this. Now, if you take it and you dump it in all at once, it's going to get it super dry quickly, and it will ruin your whole thing. So when it says on the recipe, a little at a time, that means a little at a time. Okay, so watch, I just dump in a little bit, and if you have 2 people, you can kind of do it together. I'm just 1 person here, so. while I say this. You want to make sure it's really well combined, so you have to do this for a pretty long time. Have somebody hold the bowl, and another person will be with the mixer. You always want to keep the mixer in the bowl. You don't want to lift it up with the batter on it because it's going to go all over the place, all over you, all over the kitchen. So always keep it in the bowl. I'm going to mix a little bit more. Okay, so we are done with the electric mixer, and I'll tell you why. Chocolate chips, it says on the recipe you're going to hand stir them in. Okay, I unplugged the mixer to get these prongs out. Once it's unplugged, now I can touch these prongs. It's safe to do that. You push the button in. It's an eject button. These come out. They go in the wash. They get washed. Okay, the mixer is done. You wouldn't stir in the chocolate chips, or you wouldn't put the chocolate chips in the bowl using the electric mixer because, number one, it's going to break up your chocolate chips. And number two, it's going to break the prongs on my mixer, which has happened before. So all you're going to do is you're going to hand stir them in, not with your hands, but with a wooden spoon. Okay? So you dump them in, and you're going to hand stir them in with a wooden spoon. Okay? This is what your dough looks like right now. Okay, it's pretty doughy. You're going to get those chocolate chips mixed in there, and then that is your dough. Okay? When you're finished with that and all your chocolate chips are mixed in nicely, you will get your cookie sheet. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Woo! Ice cream scoops are your best friends. Let's see if I can find the ice cream scoop. Okay, ice cream scoops help make everything consistent. You wouldn't want to have one big cookie and then one small cookie. You are going to make between 8 and 12 cookies. Okay, on your nonstick pan. So you should really only need one pan for this. When you scoop with your ice cream scoop, you're going to scoop it, okay? Fill up probably, now depending, there's all different ice cream scoop sizes, probably like this medium-sized one. This would be one cookie. So I would put one in the corner over here, and then I'm going to scoop again. I'm going to put one in this corner. Okay, I'm going to show you what the pan looks like in a minute when I'm done. Okay. And then I would put one in the middle right here. And I'm just going to keep doing that process over and over and over. So it's like, sorry, I'm trying to see so that you can see. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, and that should use up all your batter. Okay, now if you make the cookies all really small, it'll take less time to cook. And the possibility of burning is there. If you make your cookies too big, you might find that it takes forever and the inside's not cooked all the way. So about this size is good. And they take, it says on the recipe, you're at 375, and it cooks for about 8 to 10 minutes. Now, that's based off of if you're making them this size. So that's why I'm suggesting that you do make them this size. Okay? So it's going to go in the oven for 8 to 10 minutes, and you're done. You're going to get oven mitts, take it out, let it cool. All right? And that is it.